Hey guys, it's David here, aka Tout. In my personal opinion, one of these fish is an absolute showstopper, while the other one to me ended up being a bit more of a disappointment. Gold Roseline sharks versus wild type. I'll tell you which one I prefer and why. So let's go. This footage that you're seeing right now is of my gold Roseline sharks, or Denison Barbs, and it was taken almost a year ago. And I will be the first to say that these are absolutely stunning fish. I have kept the wild type before in the past and currently have a very large school of them, but this was my first time keeping the golds. And I have to say that my first experience with the golds was a complete disaster. But it wasn't the fish's fault, and not even necessarily the seller's fault. I ordered my first golds online from a very well-known online retailer who's been in the industry for decades. But instead of arriving overnight, it took 3 days for my shipment to arrive. And as you can probably guess, most of my fish arrived DOA. Soon after, a replacement shipment was sent. But unfortunately, despite arriving overnight, the replacement shipment wasn't much better than the first. However, this time, I definitely fault the seller more than anything else. And on top of that, I actually felt like they shorted me quite a bit and sent me lesser fish the second time. For example, I ordered 2 pearl cichlids, but ended up receiving the 2 wild type threadfin acaras you see in my tank today. And the second batch of Denison Barbs came in significantly smaller than the first ones. The fish were packed so tightly in the bags that over half of them were floating upside down by the time they arrived. So out of the 8 that I received in the second shipment, only 5 of them have survived to this day. It's not really fair of me to say that the golds are less hardy, at least not after this particular experience, but part of me suspects that the wild types are probably a lot more hardy. I would say that the wild types that I have right now I've had for at least as long as the golds and never lost a single one. When I first received the gold Denison Barbs, they were super active once acclimated, and at first everything seemed great, but were they really? I find that the biggest issue with this fish is that over time, they gradually start to revert back to the wild type, at least in my experience. In other words, they lose that bright yellow and roseline colors and basically fade to gray and black. Now, I have tried some really great advice that I've gotten from other hobbyists, which is to feed more protein to help them retain their color. And that trick definitely works with many fish, especially cichlids and rainbow fish. However, my gold roseline sharks haven't really responded. So I don't know if they were too long gone by the time I received them, or if these guys just aren't as responsive as other types of fish. And to me, there's definitely a growth and size difference. It's possible that my golds aren't quite done growing yet, but it doesn't feel like they're gonna get any larger. I just haven't noticed any significant growth in quite some time. My wild types started out at just about an inch, and today they're massive. Most are about 4 to 5 inches, with a few pushing even beyond that, while my golds have never really grown much past 3 to 4 inches on a nearly identical diet. Now, both versions are incredible schooling fish. They're fast, active, and stunning in motion. But I feel like to really appreciate them, I would recommend to avoid keeping them in too small of a group. To me, a proper school is at least 12 to 16 plus individuals to really be able to truly appreciate their stunning appearance and behavior, and preferably in at least a 6 to 8 foot tank for them to really shine. I realize, of course, that most people don't have such a large tank, and I certainly wouldn't fault anyone for keeping a smaller number in a smaller tank. These fish are incredible. I was just saying that a large school is stunning, and it really does make a monumental difference in their appearance. Another caveat is that trying to film these fish is nearly impossible. I mean, these little guys are lightning fast and they're very easily spooked. But the ironic part to me is that they're incredibly easy to catch with a net. Like half the time, if I just put the net in the tank, they'll just continuously swim right into it. I don't even have to move the net. So they're not what I would consider to be an overly intelligent fish. Sadly, I've already sold off all of these Roseline sharks, both versions. I have to make room for some albino Congo tetras that I've been painstakingly growing out into my primarily albino themed tank. And I need to break down the wild type tank in order to make room for the 360 gallon rare cichlid aquarium that will be eventually taking its place. I honestly can't say if I will ever own Roseline sharks ever again. Now, if there were a true albino variant, I would probably be all over that. However, I don't think I'll ever keep the golds ever again, and I don't have the correct setup currently to maintain my large school of the wild types. And believe me, as painful and difficult as it is to give them up, I do want them to move to a better setup than I can currently provide them. To me, the golds are just too expensive, tend to lose their colors, and turn into a blotchy mess that causes them to lose their appeal and the reason why I bought them in the first place. And quite honestly, the wild type are so stunning, especially when kept in a proper extra large school in an extra large tank, that if anyone were to ask me today, I would tell them hands down, yes, get this fish. Thank you for watching and allowing me to share my experiences with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time.